Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today on Wise Folks. You know, Vancouver Island is so fortunate to have so many educational opportunities. And this time around, we are at the Vancouver Island Conference Center to talk about something really important, and that's medical cannabis. Whether you're for it or against it, there's tons of information that needs to be found out in order to make an informed decision. So grab yourself a beverage, tune in, and enjoy the show.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm Kevin Wagner. Thanks very much for joining us. I'm joined today with Jane Vinet and Pam Edgar, and they're going to be talking to us about cannabis use and from a medical perspective for the senior members of our community. Thank you both very much for joining us. Jane, I wanted to begin with you because we have a very important and exciting conference coming up, and you are the project manager of that and hold a very strong role in that. So what can you tell us about it?
So I work for Nanaimo Family Life Association here in Nanaimo. And last fall, we began, when recreational cannabis was about to become legalized, there was a lot of discussion going on with a lot of the seniors groups that we work with. And a lot of people began talking about medical cannabis. And at the time, we were looking to do a fundraiser for our organization. And our board of directors thought, what a great opportunity to create an informative and educational workshop for older adults in Nanaimo, and hence the Medical Cannabis Conference for Older Adults was born.
Excellent, and that's going to be, I believe the date is March 23rd, that's correct?
Yes, it's going to be taking place at the Vancouver Island Conference Center. It's a Saturday, and people will be invited to, it opens at 9 o'clock, goes right through the day till 5. We will also have a trade show there where people will have an opportunity to visit different booths and get information on various products, services, things that have to do with cannabis, and then services and products for alternative health care for seniors in general.
Sure enough. And there's going to be a panel of speakers, and that brings us to you, Pam. You're going to be a speaker at the conference. Tell us a little bit about what you have to offer for the conference, because you have some unique experiences of your own on this topic.
I've been a medical cannabis user for 30 years. I've been licensed under the federal program since 2000. For me, it's the one thing that has helped me with nausea, with vision problems, and nerve pain. From a motor vehicle accident in 1975 that almost lost my leg, let alone my life, and then the diagnosis of MS in 1988. So the challenges have been great. For me to have found cannabis as a way to manage my pain so that I can still be effective and have a high quality of life has been huge for me.
It's interesting that you've made use of this as a medicinal alternative for so many years. We've heard about the legalization for recreational use recently, but medical cannabis has been here for some time. It's nothing new, but is there still a kind of a perception or a stigma that we need to get past to encourage people to consider it?
I think one of the things that, I mean, Pam, you probably know this better than I do, but doing research for this conference, we found out that cannabis has been legal medically in Canada since 2001. And people over the age of 55 are the fastest growing demographic of people using medical cannabis. So, the funny thing was, no one was really talking about it until cannabis became legal recreationally, and all of a sudden all these conversations started, and people who were saying, obviously people who have chronic pain conditions are really benefiting from medical cannabis, but there's a whole host of illnesses. There's anxiety, there's depression, there's arthritis,
insomnia, appetite issues,
nausea, cancer treatment. I mean, the list is just phenomenal, and in the research and the people that we're bringing forward for the conference, what we'll be doing, it's sort of two target audiences. One is older adults, people who are interested in medical cannabis. Then we're also looking at people who maybe work with older adults. So people who have a caregiving role, LPNs, nurses, doctors, people in the community who really would like to learn more and learn about it from experts, industry experts, and medical professionals like Dr. Robert Seeley, who is an acknowledged medical cannabis expert in Canada, and Philippe Lucas, who is the Vice President of Global Patient Research with Tilray, will be coming and doing a presentation on research, because that is an important topic for a lot of older adults.
It's going to be quite a conference, fairly loaded for sure. I suppose it's one of the things we were talking about earlier. We talked about terms people are familiar with, medical cannabis. We talk about THC. We talk about CBD. Those are fairly important components that are probably going to be covered at the conference. What can you tell us about that?
There's there's 96 different components to the cannabis plant. THC and CBD are two of them. THC is the psychoactive effect. CBD are the cannabinoids, and that's what feeds our endocannabinoid system. So that's more of a healing or a health medical component to cannabis. Different strains have higher CBD and lower THC, or higher THC and lower CBD. Depends on what it is you're trying to achieve, what the right strain and the right delivery method to your body is too.
And I guess the delivery method is a very important part of this conference. It'll be discussed. We often just associate it with smoking, but that's not the case by any means, especially from a medical standpoint.
Most definitely. Smoking is one of the methods of delivery. There's vaporizing, there's topical, there's a tincture under the tongue. And again, it depends on what it is you're trying to treat. What are you trying to achieve, and finding the right method of delivery to the body.
And I suppose, like you were saying, Jane, the conference is going to be as much about education as anything, and offering people a form of alternative medicine to maybe what they're using in terms of pharmaceuticals.
Yes, I mean, obviously there will be lots of opportunity to learn about all of these different things, and it really is an introductory opportunity and a place to gather information. But the other things that are coming up for a lot of older adults, anyone in general, anyone who's using medical cannabis, the issues of impairment. What about legalities? If I'm prescribed medical cannabis, can I take it out of the country? I mean, there are all these kinds of things. So in our afternoon sessions, our 2 lived experience panels will also include medical and industry professionals, and we'll have an opportunity for our audience members to ask their questions. So, I think it's going to be a really great forum and a great way to start people down the path of education.
Well,
so.
And you make an interesting point there, where we talk about how much variety in terms of product there is out there. That can be overwhelming to someone that's new to this medical alternative. That could be overwhelming, but hopefully a conference like this might help kind of people navigate through what's out there.
Most definitely. It's a great opportunity for people to come with questions and to break some of the stigma that comes for people who have been choosing to use cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough.
We hope to have people also from, we're in the works, we have people who are going to be talking from the Arthritis Society, as well as people from the Wounded Warriors as well.
Okay.
So, with lived experience.
Oh, excellent. And again, Pam, you're going to be one of the members, speaking of a lived experience. Jane, you're going to be there along with a number of great professionals, I'm sure, to help educate everybody. So it stands to be, I'm sure, what's going to be a very exciting conference and very educational, to say the least. So.
And the best part, tickets are only $25. So
Excellent.
we've done this to keep the price point at a rate that would make it very affordable for most people in our community. And as I said, any proceeds from the event will go to the Nanaimo Family Life Association, so that we can continue to offer great programming and services to people in our community.
That's great. Well, thank you, Jane. Thank you, Pam. Thank you both so much. I appreciate it, and we're looking forward to the conference. So, thank you for joining us. We're now going to throw it to Dan, and Dale with a variety of medicinal herbs of their own.
Thank you, Kevin, so much for that fabulous introduction, but you must be curious why I have 2 D's here. Dan, my Dan, but this is my Dale Dan. Now, if you're confused why I have a Dan and a Dale, well, it's Dan, and Dale. Actually, I need 2 male co-hosts. I need 2 of them. I can't do it by myself, so I now have help. So Dale and Dan, or Dan and Dale. Dan, Dale.
Get it straight, Danielle.
Dale, Dan. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about some amazing things that everybody should have in their cupboard.
Something like what?
Herbs and spices.
Yeah, like what?
Well, we're actually going to be cooking with some turmeric today.
And turmeric actually happens to be one of the top 7 spices. They have clinical evidence to support their anti-inflammatory properties. They have some pretty interesting benefits, health benefits, and of course you made a fantastic dish. Like, I mean, did you see the fantastic dish you made?
I've seen it, I can't hardly wait.
And he used, what spice did he use?
Excellent question.
Right there.
Turmeric, that's it.
That's right, that's right. What did you do with turmeric? By the way, turmeric, anti-inflammatory, it boosts the brain cells. I mean, I have to cheat sheet here.
Give me some of that right now.
Lowered risk of brain disease. That's
All right,
good for
there
you.
you go.
Yes.
So this is what we made today. To
We
the
just
magic
whipped
of
it up.
television, we made some salmon cakes, and it just so happens that the salmon is home canned, and we're fortunate to have that.
Home canned salmon, by the
Yeah.
way, courtesy of Dan.
Yep.
What did you bring, Dale?
Ginger. Okay.
Okay, so you used.
But I used some coconut milk because turmeric is pretty strong on itself, so a lot of people don't like to use it. But if you mix it with coconut milk, and I actually grate apples and I use it with my curry. So I go mostly turmeric, a little bit of curry, and it makes a beautiful sauce. So I have some sauce with some fish cakes here. Do you guys want to try them?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, we're gonna do that now, or you want to do them?
No,
Let's do
we're
this
going to the
first.
next one,
Sure.
and I really want to go to the ginger part
Okay.
because Dale here is kind of rather sick. He has a sore throat.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm on the
So
side.
guess what? Yeah, put me in the
Yeah.
middle.
So Dan was so, I guess, kind to show us how to skin this ginger, and basically the easiest way to do it is to use the edge of a spoon. So it gets that outside edge off very easily, and then you have access to the ginger fruit.
And now what do you do with that?
You can take a little piece of it and chew on it. Or you can make some hot tea, add a little
Thank
honey,
you.
and away you go.
Yes. Hot tea, ginger, boil it. It is such flavorful stuff, and it actually helps with your throat, your cold. It's actually, what's that thing for bugs called when it just kind of helps with viruses and stuff?
Yeah, it just-
Antiviral.
Antibacterial.
Antibacterial, right? Now, the next really fantastic spice actually is
Cinnamon.
That's it.
What-
Actually, I put a pinch in there.
pinch of cinnamon in there.
Yeah.
So cinnamon, turmeric, all that
Yeah.
went into your sauce.
And some sage, or and not sage, but some
Cumin,
no cumin.
chili peppers.
Chili
Chili
peppers.
peppers.
All of these spices here are the top
Yeah.
7 healthy, with clinical studies proven that they are very anti-inflammatory and very healthy to cook and eat on a regular daily basis in order to actually get their benefits. Did you know that too?
That's absolutely true.
What else can you do with cinnamon?
Well, it
Put
goes
on your
in.
toast.
Yes, and coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah, a little
Okay.
sprinkle on top. Now, what I like about using these spices is that you can just make delicious meals
Yes.
with these wonderful spices. It's not like, oh God, I got to take medicine. No, this is you cook
That's
with
true.
it.
Yeah.
And didn't you enjoy that? And I imagine how
Well,
it'll be some,
That's
water
pretty
and,
warm just to chew on a little
and
bit of it. but-
honey and
yeah.
and stuff like that. And also the other really fantastic spice, believe it or not, is
Parsley.
Parsley. Bam.
Now, fresh is best. Fresh is always best. And fresh parsley with garlic and tomatoes make a giant salad. Like use
Oh,
a
yeah.
whole
Perfect.
clump
Oh yeah.
of parsley. Very healthy, very tasty.
A little bit of
So,
cheese in it.
and cheese, and that's it. So this is how we can all cook and eat and be healthy.
All right, you guys, let's try one while we're
Here you go.
logging off here.
you.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
Dale, Dan,
Oh, look, you can
fantastic.
cut them.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll leave any for the crew because I don't think it'll be enough for them.
Yeah.
No.
I think we better.
Okay, fine.
I got some here. All right.
Oh,
Very
I
good.
ate mine. Here, let me grab another one. Cheers. Fantastic, isn't it?
And I feel like I'm shrinking.
Yes, I could have said that. Yes, you
Yeah.
are. I can
Well,
barely see you.
That's the hope.
Thanks, Dan and Dan, for that always spicy interlude that you have. I'm Isabella Osman, and I'm going to be talking about a different herb today, medical cannabis. There are a lot of misconceptions out there. There are a lot of questions that you have. And so my guest today is Dorothy Engst. She is an expert and a user of medical cannabis, and she is here to answer some questions and talk about her experience. Dorothy, you have been using medical cannabis for a while now?
I started using cannabis for medicinal reasons back in 2017 when I came down with a rare autoimmune disease that impacted my mobility. So even though I'd been using cannabis, just recreational on and off, I really had to get down and dirty and start finding out more of the benefits and what strains I needed to be using them for medicinal purposes.
So if somebody was interested in using medical cannabis for some of their ailments, where would you recommend that they start?
Okay, well, the first place is finding a doctor that's going to work with you. I actually switched doctors early on in my illness because I needed to deal with a doctor that we had a really good conversation, that we could talk about the cannabis and I could talk about alternatives and not feel like I was being judged. And because, in all fairness, for a long time, cannabis has been a taboo, right?
Our mother is quite elderly, and for many years we tried to convince her family doctor that maybe medical cannabis would help her, and the answer was always no. What then happened, as we know, many people were cut off from their morphine, and my mom was taking very little, and the doctor said, "Sorry, I can't give you any more." And my sister said, well, now what do we do? She still has pain. And the doctor said, go look for medical cannabis. And so that's what we did. Yeah. So you start with your doctor. If your doctor is not helpful,
then I would recommend finding another doctor. And that's exactly what I did. So find another doctor, go to see a naturopathic doctor. There's other specialties out there as well that can probably help you with the medicinal cannabis. Once you've gotten that down pat, then it's time to start looking at buying some cannabis and what type of cannabis you're going to buy and so on.
Now there is a real difference between recreational cannabis and medical cannabis, isn't there?
Well, when you're looking for your medical cannabis for pain and inflammation, you want to be looking for cannabis that has a high CBD content in it. Your THC is what kind of gives you your high and so on. Your CBD is what really works on the pain and the inflammation and so on. You do need a little bit of THC though blended with it. If you're taking something and it's saying that it's straight CBD, you really want just a little bit of THC in that as well, because the blend of them together makes them work together or work better as well. Yeah.
Now you have brought some props here to show us. Right.
Well, this is my little pot bag. This travels with me everywhere, and I choose because I take my medical cannabis different ways. I take it in edibles, I take it in liquids, I smoke it. And it just depends on the time, the need, and the convenience. And the thing is, as you're starting to learn to use medical cannabis, it really is a testing ground, because everything that I do is not necessarily going to work for you. We're all individuals, so we need to find that balance that's going to work for us. So this is basically a vaporizer. I can put my herb in the bottom of it, I turn it on, the green light comes on when it's heated up, and I can smoke it. And it's just better using this than smoking a joint, better for my health. I have my pot in here and my little containers. I actually keep all of my leftover from this because that's already been decarboxylated. Now, what that means is when you're baking, you normally take your herb and you put it in the oven for a certain period of time to decarboxylate, and what that does is that makes the CBD and THC pop out, makes it work more effectively, and then you bake with it. But this has already been decarboxylated because I've used it in my vaporizer, so I save this up and I will eventually make some kind of cannabis butter using this.
Now, I understand that the laws state that we can have 4 cannabis plants in our garden, and then I guess it's up to us to dry it and make our edibles.
Exactly.
Because as I understand, edibles are not legal.
At this point in time, they're not yet. They're still doing some research, and I think, again, because it's such an individual thing. For instance, I can eat an edible that might have 10 or 15 grams of cannabis in it, but I only give my hubby ones that have about 5, right? I have a much higher tolerance than he does because I use it all the time.
So Dorothy, what else did you bring us?
I brought a book. There's lots of books out there on cannabis, so buy yourself some cannabis books and do some research on them. I particularly like this one because it's got a lot of imagery, talks about the different strains and so on, but you can get them even more in depth with THC, CBD content, and so on. The other thing that I brought is I did go online to our BC Liquor Control Board or cannabis stores and bought some legal cannabis, and I kind of wanted to show that. What I really liked about this, and let me find the package that I love, this particular package, what's really great with it is it actually gives you the content of the CBD and the THC, and this one is 88% CBD, which is awesome.
So that's the one you would use for your medical?
Yes, yes. It does still have THC in it, but it's a very low content of THC. So this is going to be very mellow.
What would you say to the person that says, no, I will not have cannabis because of the past, because of its stigma? What would you say to them?
Well, if there's somebody that really is adamant that there is no way that they're going to ever use cannabis, and there are people out there that are like that, there are some other options out there. There's a company in Canada that was the first one to really develop and launch products legally that are for terpenes. So terpenes are contained in all the different plants out there. For instance, lavender has about 40 different terpenes alone. So there's terpenes in cannabis that activate our CB2 receptors, which will help us with the pain and inflammation and so on. And so what this company has done is they've taken the specific terpenes that work specifically on pain, inflammation, sleeplessness, and they have put them into a product called CB2, which has no cannabis in it, but will give you the same effects as CBD oil. So there is something out there for people.
There is something
but
out there.
you know, a lot of people that use the medicinal cannabis too, they like the effects of the medicinal cannabis, so they want to stick with that. They can still take those terpenes though and use them because they will enhance the cannabis as well.
Thank you very much for this very valuable information, and thank you for joining us here today. And if you're interested in more, there's lots of information available.
So have you had any experience with medical cannabis?
Yes, actually I have personally, and my sister has as well.
And what are your thoughts about it?
Oh, I think it's amazing. I think CBD oil for pain is the best.
You were talking earlier about a family member who was really unwell and started using it. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Okay, she was almost in a wheelchair. Her pain was so bad from arthritis and in lots of her joints in her back, and somebody turned her on to CBD oil, and she's been pain-free since.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's an amazing story, actually. She's 71, so.
And had she tried other things before?
Oh, lots of prescription medications, but none of them worked.
Yeah. So for yourself, you found it to be really helpful.
I found it great for sleeping. I'm an insomniac, and CBD oil is great for sleeping. And I also use some of the cream on my joints, which I find really helpful as well.
Sometimes people say that it's the smell that really bothers them, and they're confusing recreational marijuana or smoking marijuana with actually medical cannabis and oils and tinctures. What's your take on that?
Well, the oil, the cream I use, you can't smell. And it has such a minute amount of THC in it that there's really not that much of a smell, and that's the same with CBD oil. I don't find it, like you put it under your tongue and it doesn't taste like anything unusual to me.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Hey, Hey, thanks for tuning in. That was incredible. There's so many options available, and knowing that you have choices is really what it's all about. So if you want to find out more information, we encourage you to visit us at the Medical Cannabis Conference at the Vancouver Island Convention Center on March the 23rd from 9 o'clock until 5 o'clock. There'll be a trade show component to it, and there's all kinds of fantastic speakers that'll be able to address the questions that are burning for you. Again, thanks for joining us on Vancouver Island's Wise Folks. If you like our show, make sure you tune into YouTube and subscribe to our page, or get in touch with us on Facebook and like, share. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Wise Folks.
I walked with the world for a many a mile. Life was fun for a little while. As I got older, how could I smile? How could I be happy for long? I met a wise folk the other day, told me to live in a happy way. Now I'm walking in the good old way, and I'm greeting life with a song. Something is missing in my heart today. I had to stop and rest a while. Not really sure what I need. How was I to find what's wrong? I met a wise folk the other day, told me to live in a happy way. Now I'm walking in the good old way, and I'm greeting life with a song. I'm greeting life with a song.